Can you believe it's been over 30 years since we first met? The citizens of Zamunda? The cast of Coming to America became instant icons, but the years have brought unbelievable changes. From stunning glow-ups to heartbreaking losses that still haunt Hollywood, we're looking at the then and now transformations that will leave you speechless. This is more than a reunion. It's a nostalgic trip through time that you absolutely cannot miss. Eddie Murphy as Prince Akeem. Born on April 3, 1961 in Brooklyn, New York, the stand-up phenomenon first brought Prince Akeem of Zamunda to life in the 1988 blockbuster Coming to America. At the age of 27, Murphy's portrayal of the wealthy, pampered, yet relentlessly optimistic African royal seeking true love in Queens became a massive cultural touchstone. Offering a rare, celebratory cinematic depiction of black royalty and opulence, the role showcased Murphy's brilliant versatility as he effortlessly played multiple characters under heavy makeup. The film was a phenomenal comedic and commercial success, solidifying Akeem as one of the most beloved and iconic figures of 1980s cinema. Despite the character's gentle, innocent, and exceptionally polite nature, Eddie Murphy's real-life comedic persona was famously the polar opposite, a brash, raw, and profanity-laced superstar whose edgy stand-up and explosive action roles had defined his early career. This sharp contrast was a testament to his acting range as he consciously stepped away from his fast-talking, street-smart image to play the earnest prince. However, following the monumental heights of his 1980s superstardom, Murphy faced significant professional struggles in the following decade. Burdened by astronomical industry expectations and the challenge of avoiding being typecast strictly as an edgy wise guy, he experienced a difficult period marked by highly publicized critical and commercial flops, such as Vampire in Brooklyn and The Adventures of Pluto Nash. The intense media scrutiny and the struggle to consistently find winning scripts outside of his established comedic box were challenging, leading to periods where finding the right work proved difficult and causing him to abandon live stand-up comedy entirely for decades. Eddie Murphy successfully navigated those hardships to reinvent his career multiple times, finding renewed success in lucrative family comedies, iconic voice acting roles, and acclaimed dramatic turns. At the age of 64, he is enjoying a celebrated career renaissance and a settled personal life, having legally married his longtime partner, Paige Butcher, in a private 2024 ceremony in Anguilla. A dedicated father of 10 children, he has maintained a notoriously private lifestyle away from the public eye, prioritizing his family above the Hollywood spotlight. He remains highly active in the entertainment industry, having recently starred in successful legacy sequels like Coming to America and Beverly Hills Cop Axel F., and is currently involved in major upcoming projects, including the intimate career-spanning Netflix documentary Eddie and his highly anticipated return as Donkey in the Shrek franchise. Samuel L. Jackson as Hold Up Man. Born on December 21, 1948 in Washington, D.C., Samuel L. Jackson briefly but memorably brought the shotgun-wielding hold-up man to life in the 1988 comedy classic Coming to America. At the age of 39, Jackson's portrayal of the intensely aggressive would-be robber at McDowell's restaurant served as an early showcase of the fiery scene-stealing energy that would eventually become his trademark. Though it was a minor role, his fierce and profane confrontation with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall's characters left an enduring comedic and cultural mark, acting as a captivating glimpse into the screen presence of a future Hollywood legend. Despite the volatile criminal nature of the hold-up man and many similar characters he portrayed in his early career, Jackson is in reality a deeply disciplined professional, an avid golfer, and a dedicated family man. However, his journey was marked by severe personal and professional hardships. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, he struggled heavily with alcohol and drug addiction, particularly crack cocaine, which threatened to derail his life entirely. During this era, he faced the frustration of being routinely typecast in minor unnamed roles as street thugs, criminals, or addicts. These dark years made it incredibly difficult for him to break into substantial leading parts, and it wasn't until he completed a stint in rehab in 1990 that his career truly shifted, leading directly to his monumental breakout performance in Spike Lee's Jungle Fever. Following his recovery, Jackson's career skyrocketed, transforming him into one of the highest-grossing actors in cinema history through legendary collaborations with Quentin Tarantino, his iconic Oscar-nominated role as Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction, and his linchpin status as Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He has remained married to his college sweetheart actress LaTanya Richardson since 1980, and the couple shares a daughter, Zoe. Known for his love of golf, he famously negotiates clauses into his film contracts, allowing him time to play on local courses during shoots. He remains a prolific and respected force in Hollywood. At the age of 77, Jackson continues to be an active and towering presence in the entertainment industry, enjoying an unprecedented legacy that far outshines his early days playing minor criminals. James Earl Jones as King Jaffe Joffer. Born on January 17, 1931 in Arcaboutla, Mississippi, the legendary actor first established his booming, authoritative presence on stage before dominating the screen. At the age of 57, Jones's portrayal of the fiercely traditional and lion-clad ruler of Zamunda became a cultural touchstone, offering a cinematic depiction of African royalty and immense black wealth that was both hilarious and significant. For the beloved 1988 comedy, his majestic comedic timing and unforgettable entrance defined a character that remains one of film's most iconic and quotable figures. Despite the character's bombastic and highly commanding nature, James Earl Jones was naturally reserved and spent much of his childhood practically mute. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey. He suffered from a severe stutter as a youth, finding the act of speaking aloud to be an immense challenge, making his evolution into Hollywood's most famous voice a profound triumph. His career was also marked by the struggle of being typecast and the difficulty finding work that fully utilized his classical theatrical training. Early on, he faced the harsh reality of racial barriers in the entertainment industry, which often relegated him to secondary parts. Even as he achieved massive fame, he found himself repeatedly pigeonholed into playing stern, authoritative father figures, or restricted primarily to voiceover roles, making it a constant battle to secure dynamic on-screen leading parts that reflected his true acting range. James Earl Jones continued to work heavily in film and theater for decades, though he preferred a quiet private life away from the Hollywood spotlight in Pawling, New York. He famously voiced Darth Vader in the Star Wars franchise and Mufasa in Disney's The Lion King, and later reprised his role as King Jaffe Joffer in the 2021 sequel, Coming to America. Prior to his passing, he officially retired from his Star Wars role, notably signing over his voice rights to an artificial intelligence company to preserve his iconic sound for future generations. Jones passed away at his home in Pawling, New York on September 9, 2024 at the age of 93 due to complications from long-standing type 2 diabetes. His death was followed by a massive outpouring of tributes from co-stars, fans, and global organizations, with the Empire State Building honoring his unforgettable legacy by projecting an image of Darth Vader onto its facade. Cuba Gooding Jr. as Boy Getting Haircut. Born on January 2, 1968 in the Bronx, New York City, the actor made his feature film debut in the 1988 comedy classic Coming to America. At the age of 20, Gooding's portrayal of the boy getting haircut may have been a minor uncredited appearance, but it placed him directly into one of the film's most culturally significant and hilarious barbershop sequences. While the character was simply a silent patron enduring a fake haircut from Eddie Murphy's character, the scene itself was a cultural touchstone of 1980s cinema. For Gooding, this brief cinematic moment served as the pivotal launchpad for a career that would soon skyrocket to Academy Award-winning heights. While the boy in the barbershop chair was entirely silent and subdued, Cuba Gooding Jr. became famous for a real-life personality that was the polar opposite, highly extroverted, deeply charismatic, and defined by a boundless, bombastic energy. This contrast made him a breakout star in the 1990s, but his career has been marked by profound professional and personal struggles. After his Oscar win for Jerry Maguire, Gooding fell victim to what many critics called the Oscar curse, enduring a prolonged period of professional hardship where he was typecast in poorly received comedies and relegated to a string of direct-to-video releases. More recently, his career faced a devastating halt due to severe legal battles and multiple allegations of sexual misconduct, deeply damaging his reputation and making it incredibly difficult for him to find work in mainstream Hollywood. Following his highly publicized legal issues, Gooding has maintained a significantly lower profile, shifting his focus away from the public eye and the major studio system. He has made only sporadic appearances in independent films and has quietly attempted to rebuild his life outside of the Hollywood spotlight. At the age of 58, he is navigating the complex and challenging aftermath of his controversies. While his personal and legal struggles have deeply complicated his legacy, his incredible trajectory from a quiet, uncredited extra in a barbershop to a global superstar remains a stark reminder of the volatile nature of fame and success. John Amos as Cleo McDowell. Born on December 27, 1939 in Newark, New Jersey, the former collegiate football player transitioned into acting and became a television staple before taking on his memorable film role. At the age of 48, Amos's portrayal of Cleo McDowell, the fiercely protective father and ambitious fast food restaurateur who hilariously skirted trademark laws with his golden arcs, became a cultural touchstone. His performance provided a brilliant comedic foil to Eddie Murphy's Prince Akeem, presenting a classic depiction of black entrepreneurship and fatherly devotion that remains universally beloved by fans of the 1988 comedy. While Cleo McDowell was a fast-talking, corner-cutting businessman, willing to compromise for a quick buck, John Amos was a highly principled, no-nonsense individual known for his unyielding integrity. This strong moral compass often put him at odds with Hollywood executives. His firm stance against the buffoonish stereotyping of black characters famously led to his abrupt firing from his starring role as the patriarch on the hit sitcom Good Times. Amos clashed heavily with the show's creators over the creative direction, and his resulting dismissal earned him an unfair reputation as a difficult actor. This created a period of professional hardship where he faced typecasting and had significant difficulty finding work that respected both his immense talents and his boundaries. John Amos continued a prolific career over the ensuing decades, delivering acclaimed performances in projects like The West Wing and reprising his iconic role as Cleo in the 2021 sequel Coming to America. In his later years, his personal life became the subject of public distress as his two children engaged in a bitter and highly publicized feud over his health care and finances. Amos passed away from congestive heart failure at a hospital in Inglewood, California on August 21, 2024, at the age of 84. His passing was followed by a deeply controversial aftermath. His son did not announce the death for 45 days, and his daughter shockingly learned of her father's passing through the media, culminating in a painful and lingering public dispute over his estate and cremated remains. Arsenio Hall as Semmi. Born on February 12, 1956 in Cleveland, Ohio, the versatile comedian and actor first brought Semmi to life alongside Eddie Murphy in the 1988 comedy blockbuster Coming to America. At the age of 32, Hall's portrayal of Prince Akeem's loyal, luxury-loving, and occasionally vain best friend and servant became a cultural touchstone. Alongside his standout performances in several heavy makeup secondary roles, including Reverend Brown and Morris the Barber, his comedic chemistry with Murphy helped define late 1980s comedy and offered a hilarious, beloved depiction of black royalty and prosperity that resonated globally. Despite the character's pampered, selfish, and materialistic nature, Arsenio Hall was known in reality as an incredibly hard-working, grounded, and intensely dedicated performer who built his career from the grind of the stand-up comedy circuit. While Semmi avoided hard work and responsibility, Hall eagerly took on immense professional burdens. However, His career journey was marked by complex professional struggles and sacrifices. After achieving unprecedented mega-stardom as a late-night pioneer with The Arsenio Hall Show, he abruptly walked away from the entertainment industry at the height of his fame to raise his son as a single father, sacrificing his peak earning years. When he attempted to return to his television roots decades later, he faced the harsh realities of a changed media landscape. His highly anticipated 2013 talk show revival struggled to find a consistent audience and suffered cancellation after just one season, a disheartening professional setback. Arsenio Hall continued to navigate the entertainment industry on his own terms through stand-up comedy, reality television, and acting, notably winning The Celebrity Apprentice in 2012 and triumphantly reprising his iconic roles in the 2021 sequel, Coming to America. Having successfully raised his son, Arsenio Jr., away from the glaring Hollywood spotlight, he has spent his later years enjoying a resurgence of respect as a trailblazing elder statesman of comedy. At the age of 70, he remains an active and beloved figure in the entertainment world, regularly performing stand-up comedy tours, making television appearances, and celebrating his enduring legacy as a historic barrier breaker in late-night television and cinematic comedy. Eric LaSalle as Daryl Jenks. Born on July 23, 1962 in Hartford, Connecticut, the Juilliard-trained actor secured a breakout cinematic moment in the 1988 comedy classic, Coming to America. At the age of 25, LaSalle's portrayal of Daryl Jenks, the arrogant, jerry-curled heir to the Soul Glow hair care empire, became an unforgettable pop culture touchstone. His performance brilliantly captured the essence of an obnoxious 1980s yuppie, serving as the perfect comedic foil to Eddie Murphy's Prince Akeem and cementing Soul Glow into the annals of comedic cinema history. Despite the character's bombastic vein and comically shallow nature, Eric LaSalle is known to be a deeply serious, thoughtful, and intensely focused individual. The contrast between his real-life dedication to his craft and his cartoonish breakthrough role was stark. Following Coming to America, LaSalle faced the professional hardship of typecasting, struggling for several years to find substantial dramatic work that went beyond comedic caricatures. He had to fight hard to be taken seriously in Hollywood, eventually landing his defining dramatic role as Dr. Peter Benton on ER. Even then, his career was marked by battles for principled representation. He famously asked producers to end his character's interracial romance because he was concerned about the industry's consistent depiction of black men in dysfunctional relationships with black women, demonstrating a willingness to risk his own storyline for the sake of cultural integrity. Eric LaSalle continued to evolve professionally, eventually shifting much of his focus behind the camera to become a highly prolific television director and executive producer for hit series like Chicago PD and the Law and Order franchise, while also authoring a series of acclaimed thriller novels. He has maintained a notably private personal life, keeping his relationships out of the tabloid spotlight to focus purely on his creative endeavors. At the age of 63, he remains an active, highly respected force in the entertainment industry, having successfully redefined his legacy far beyond the comedic shadow of his iconic 1988 role. Sherry Headley as Lisa McDowell. Born on July 15, 1964, the Queens, New York native originally studied pre-med in college before a modeling contest unexpectedly launched her acting career. At the age of 23, Headley's portrayal of the fiercely independent and grounded fast food heiress became a cultural touchstone. Her performance offered a radiant depiction of black beauty and everyday royalty that anchored the phenomenal success of Coming to America. As the woman who captured the heart of an African prince by simply demanding to be respected for who she was, Headley defined a character that remains one of the most beloved romantic leads in comedy history. Despite her character's glamorous destiny as the wealthy queen of Zamunda Shari, Headley was intensely private, deeply humble, and often described as far removed from the typical Hollywood spotlight. This contrast was a significant part of her personal journey. She originally wanted to be a doctor and found navigating the sudden, intense glare of global fame to be a daunting challenge. Her career was also marked by the struggle of being typecast, which, compounded by a systemic lack of substantial leading film roles for black women at the time, made it difficult for her to find cinematic work that matched her blockbuster debut. Her pivot to television brought its own professional stings. Despite earning an NAACP Image Award nomination as the lead of the 1997 drama series 413 Hope Street, the show was abruptly canceled after only a few episodes, a disheartening setback in her artistic journey. Sherry Headley continued to work steadily in television and film for decades, raising her son as a single mother following a brief marriage to rapper Christopher "Play" Martin in the early 1990s. She took on the recurring role of Officer Mimi Reed in the daytime soap opera All My Children from 1991 to 1994, and later starred as the villainous district attorney Jennifer Salison on Tyler Perry's primetime drama The Haves and the Have-Nots. Throughout the years, she remained deeply committed to philanthropy, earning a President's Volunteer Service Award in 2013 for her extensive work with youth anti-bullying initiatives. In 2021, she gloriously reprised her famous role alongside her original co-stars in the long-awaited sequel Coming to America. At the age of 61, she continues to be a revered and active figure in the entertainment industry, balancing her famously private life with enduring on-screen grace. Garcelle Beauvais as Rose Bearer. Born on November 26, 1966 in Saint-Marc, Haiti, the actress and former fashion model made her feature film debut in the 1988 comedy classic. At the age of 21, Beauvais' turn as one of the glamorous rose bearers scattering petals for Prince Akeem became a visually unforgettable part of Coming to America. Though a minor and uncredited role, she contributed to a film that became a massive cultural touchstone widely celebrated for its lavish, prideful depiction of black royalty wealth and excellence that resonated deeply with global audiences. While the role of the Rose Bearer was entirely silent, subservient, and purely decorative, the real Garcelle Beauvais is an outspoken, ambitious, and commanding force. This stark contrast highlighted her early professional struggles in Hollywood. Transitioning from modeling into acting, she faced the significant hardship of being heavily typecast as mere eye candy, making it exceedingly difficult for her to find work that showcased her true capabilities. She also weathered industry setbacks, such as the swift cancellation of the primetime soap opera Models, Inc., after just one season forcing her to continuously hustle and fight for substantive, multidimensional roles in an often restrictive entertainment landscape. Beauvais eventually broke through these barriers to enjoy a prolific career, securing starring roles on hit series like The Jamie Foxx Show and NYPD Blue. In her personal life, she navigated a highly publicized divorce from her second husband, Mike Nylon, while raising her three sons, Oliver, Jax, and Jade. Her career continually evolved as she authored children's books, co-hosted the daytime talk show The Real, and made history as the first black cast member on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She even delighted fans by reprising her original cinematic role in the 2021 sequel, Coming to America. At the age of 59, she is a celebrated actress, producer, and reality television icon, thriving as a respected powerhouse who has successfully reinvented her career across multiple decades. Louis Anderson as Maurice. Born on March 24, 1953 in St. Paul, Minnesota, the stand-up comedian stepped into the memorable supporting role of Maurice in the 1988 hit film Coming to America. At the age of 35, Anderson's portrayal of the earnest and ambitious McDowell's employee who enthusiastically explains the difference between McDonald's and McDowell's while dreaming of becoming assistant manager provided brilliant, scene-stealing comedic relief. Famously cast as the only white actor in a predominantly black ensemble at the studio's mandate, Anderson used his unique charm to turn what could have been a forced inclusion into a beloved, iconic piece of the classic comedy's cultural fabric. Despite Maurice's cheerful, endlessly optimistic nature and simple ambitions, Louis Anderson's real life was significantly more complex and marked by deep personal pain. Growing up as the second youngest of 11 children with an abusive alcoholic father, Anderson used his self-deprecating humor as a coping mechanism for his childhood trauma and his lifelong battle with his weight. Professionally, Anderson faced notable hurdles. He often found himself typecast in Hollywood as the funny, overweight sidekick, which occasionally made it difficult to find substantial acting work that matched his stand-up success. He endured crushing professional disappointments, such as the cancellation of his CBS sitcom The Louie Show in 1996, after airing just 6 episodes. Furthermore, he weathered a highly publicized and painful extortion scheme in the late 1990s, regarding his personal life adding immense stress behind the scenes. Anderson continued to persevere, carving out a unique and celebrated legacy. He created the hit 1990s autobiographical animated series Life with Louie, which won him 2 Daytime Emmy Awards and later hosted Family Feud. In his later years, he experienced a massive career resurgence, winning a Primetime Emmy Award in 2016 for his critically acclaimed portrayal of the matriarch, Christine Baskets, on the FX series Baskets. He even made a nostalgic return to his McDowell's uniform, reprising the role of Maurice in the 2021 sequel, Coming to America. Tragically, Anderson passed away at a hospital in Las Vegas, Nevada on January 21, 2022, at the age of 68. The cause of death was complications from diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, a type of blood cancer. His passing was met with a massive outpouring of grief and tributes from across the entertainment industry, cementing his legacy as one of the kindest, most generous, and enduringly funny figures in comedy. Madge Sinclair as Queen Aulion. Born on April 28, 1938 in Kingston, Jamaica, the former teacher left her home country to pursue acting in New York before landing her iconic regal role. At the age of 50, Sinclair's portrayal of the wise, dignified, and loving matriarch of Zamunda became a cultural touchstone. Her character stood out as a beacon of quiet strength and grace, offering a rare and celebrated depiction of African royalty on the big screen that resonated deeply with audiences. Opposite James Earl Jones, her performance as the queen who subtly defied her husband's strict traditions to support her son's quest for true love helped make the film an enduring comedy classic. In stark contrast to the immense wealth, traditional obedience, and unchallenged comfort of Queen Aeolian Madge, Sinclair was fiercely independent, profoundly pragmatic, and a self-made woman who had to fight for her success. While her character lived a life of pampered royalty, Sinclair was a hard-working Jamaican immigrant who took a massive risk moving to America as a single mother in her 30s to start from scratch. She often expressed frustration over the lack of financial security in acting, which drove her to start her own uniform manufacturing business. Professionally, she faced the persistent challenge of being typecast. Her regal bearing and distinct accent frequently boxed her into playing stern, authoritative, or maternal figures, making it difficult to find diverse roles that fully showcased her dynamic range. Beyond the cameras, she was quietly enduring a grueling 13-year private battle with leukemia, projecting absolute strength on screen while fighting a terminal illness. The end of her career also brought a professional sting when her final television series, the ABC sitcom Me and the Boys, was abruptly canceled just months before her passing. Despite her declining health, Madge Sinclair continued to work prolifically into the 1990s, cementing her legacy in film and television while remaining devoted to her husband Dean Compton and her 2 sons. She won a Primetime Emmy Award in 1991 for her role in Gabriel's Fire and made history as the first female Starfleet captain in the Star Trek franchise. In 1994, she memorably reunited with her Coming to America co-star James Earl Jones to voice Cerebi in Disney's animated blockbuster The Lion King. Sinclair passed away in Los Angeles on December 20, 1995 at the age of 57 from leukemia. Her passing deeply affected the industry. As a notable aftermath, the directors of The Lion King sequels chose to retire the character of Cerebi rather than recast her, deeming Sinclair's voice to be completely irreplaceable. She was cremated with her ashes scattered in her native Jamaica, and in 2000 the Jamaican government posthumously honored her with the Order of Distinction for her outstanding contributions to the performing arts. Donna Meche as Mortimer Duke. Born on May 31st, 1908 in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the veteran actor first brought the greedy commodities broker to life in the 1983 comedy Trading Places, before his memorable crossover appearance in Coming to America. At the age of 75, when he first took the role of Mortimer Duke Amiche's portrayal of the heartless and scheming billionaire became a cultural touchstone of 1980s cinema. His return to the character 5 years later in Coming to America provided one of the era's greatest comedic moments. By receiving a paper bag of cash from Prince Akeem and joyously declaring that he and his brother were back in business, Ameche delivered an unforgettable cameo that perfectly linked two of the decade's most iconic comedy hits. Despite the character's ruthless, bigoted, and arrogantly foul-mouthed nature, Don Ameche was renowned for being an intensely modest, polite, and elegant gentleman described by peers as the polar opposite of Mortimer Duke. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey with the role. His old Hollywood sensibilities were so deeply ingrained that he initially balked at the script's profanity, famously agreeing to film only a single take of his character swearing. His career was also marked by severe professional struggles. After reigning as a massive leading man in the 1930s and 1940s, his film opportunities completely faded by the late 1940s. For decades before the Duke role unexpectedly revived his stardom, Ameche experienced the hardship of being entirely overlooked by Hollywood studios, struggling to find on-screen work and relying on touring musicals, television guest spots, and dinner theater to sustain his livelihood. Don Ameche experienced a remarkable late-career renaissance, eventually winning an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor at age 77 for his role in the 1985 sci-fi film Cocoon. He continued to work steadily in late 80s and early 90s films like Harry and the Hendersons, Things Change, and Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey. Remaining a devoted family man who had raised 6 children with his late wife, Honore, he worked passionately right up until his final days, completing his role in Corrina Corrina, shortly before his declining health forced him to stop. Ameche passed away at his son's home in Scottsdale, Arizona on December 6, 1993, at the age of 85 from prostate cancer. Following his death, his remains were cremated and interred at Resurrection Catholic Cemetery in Asbury, Iowa, cementing his legacy as a dapper Hollywood legend who conquered the silver screen across 2 entirely different eras. Vanessa Bell Calloway as Imani Izzy. Born on March 20, 1957 in Cleveland, Ohio, Vanessa Bell Calloway brought one of comedy's most memorable characters to life in the 1988 hit film Coming to America. At the age of 31, Calloway's portrayal of Imani Izzy, the subservient arranged bride groomed for Prince Akeem, became a massive cultural phenomenon. Despite only having a few minutes of screen time, her willingness to hop on one foot and bark like a dog made the character instantly iconic, cementing her place in pop culture history as a hilarious and unforgettable representation of extreme aristocratic obedience. In stark contrast to the completely submissive and voiceless Imani Izzy, Vanessa Bell Calloway is known in her real life as a fiercely independent, highly educated, and outspoken woman. While the role was a massive breakthrough, it brought its own set of professional hardships. Calloway later revealed the sting of colorism in the casting process. She originally auditioned for the lead role of Lisa, but was passed over because executives allegedly wanted a lighter-skinned actress for the romantic lead. Furthermore, breaking out as such an exaggerated caricature meant she had to constantly fight against being typecast, which made it difficult for her to find the substantial multi-dimensional dramatic roles she sought early in her cinematic career. She has also endured the unpredictable heartbreak of network television, most notably dealing with the sudden cancellation of the critically acclaimed historical drama Underground, which was axed despite its popularity and cultural significance. At the age of 68, she is a vibrant and enduring force in the entertainment industry, celebrated for her longevity and versatility. A devoted family woman, she has been married to anesthesiologist Dr. Anthony Calloway since 1988, and together they share 2 daughters. Beyond her acting career, she is an inspiring breast cancer survivor, having successfully battled the disease and undergone a mastectomy in 2009, an experience that fueled her passionate advocacy for women's health and wellness. Over the decades, she has consistently landed significant roles in hit series such as Shameless, Saints and Sinners, and The Black Hamptons, and she delighted fans around the world by reprising her legendary role as Imani Izzy in the 2021 sequel Coming to America. Vondie Curtis Hall as basketball game vendor. Born on September 30th, 1950 in Detroit, Michigan, the Juilliard-educated performer stepped onto the big screen in the beloved Eddie Murphy comedy Coming to America. At the age of 37, Curtis Hall's brief but memorable portrayal of the keen-eyed, boisterous basketball game vendor who instantly recognizes Prince Akeem became a fun cultural touchstone within a film celebrated for its rich, vibrant tapestry of characters. Though a minor role, his energetic appearance contributed to a massive box office phenomenon that offered a groundbreaking depiction of black royalty and comedic brilliance, marking a humble but iconic cinematic stepping stone for the actor. Unlike the street-smart, opportunistic, and loud-mouthed vendor eager to blow a Royals cover for a quick buck, Vondie Curtis Hall is a deeply serious, highly educated artist and a trained musician. This stark contrast underscores the reality of his early cinematic journey. Despite being an accomplished theater veteran who originated roles in major Broadway musicals like Dreamgirls, he initially found himself relegated to playing unnamed background characters in Hollywood. His early career was marked by the frustrating struggle of being typecast in minor one-dimensional parts, often credited simply as vendor, detective, or guard, which made it difficult for him to find substantial work that showcased his true dramatic range. Even as he achieved greater recognition, he faced ongoing professional hardships, including the premature cancellation of critically acclaimed series he starred in, such as For the People, and the broader industry battle for black actors to secure complex narratives, which ultimately pushed him to step behind the camera to write and direct his own films. Vondie Curtis Hall eventually shattered those early limitations, building a prolific and highly respected career in television and film as both a celebrated actor and an acclaimed director. He secured starring long-running roles as Dr. Dennis Hancock on the hit medical drama Chicago Hope, and as investigative journalist Ben Urich in Marvel's Daredevil, while also directing the cult classic film Gridlocked and episodes of shows like The Shield. Off-screen, he has enjoyed a long and stable personal life, having been married to fellow director and actress Kasi Lemmons since 1995, with whom he shares children, including actor Henry Hunter Hall. At 75, he remains a revered elder statesman in the entertainment industry, continuing to work in Hollywood while sharing his extensive knowledge with the next generation as a full-time arts professor at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. The mirror of time reveals much, yet the spark in their eyes remains unchanged. As we bridge the gap between 1988 and today, we celebrate the legends who brought Coming to America to life. They have aged with grace, carrying the legacy of a cult classic into a new millennium. Was there a specific moment from the film that defined your childhood? Tell us your story in the comments and like this video. If you still believe in the soul glow,